Today is Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. I always have a hard time thinking it's actually, as late as it is. That's why I have to think about the date, because this season is just flying by. April dragged on forever. May kind of dragged. And then after June hit, it's all history. So we're starting to progress here into August soon. And that means a very big change, a remarkable change in what's been going on for 2 months. Populations are high. Brood laying is starting to wane. Honey flow should be starting to wane, although in 2022 we don't know what's going to happen. So, the jury is out on that. But I need to start preparing for winter. You think the 27th of July, I need to prepare for winter. I've been preparing for winter for a month or more now, in certain respects. And one of those things is getting my colonies built up and strong enough so that they're going to winter successfully. Winter is the great equalizer. That's your test. Everything else you do in beekeeping, your final exam is winter. And you get your report card about the 1st of May. Last Saturday, I don't remember what I did. I didn't make any notes. I don't remember what I did. I think I worked out here on some queens and whatnot. I went to my out yard, one day and got some nukes that were there when I was shaking down the colonies out there. I was late, and I found a bunch of swarm cells. I think I found a supersedure cell or two. And so anyway, I broke those up, and one of the colonies I broke up completely, and I turned it into nukes. And I made 9 nukes that day. One of those nukes subsequently failed. I didn't make it strong enough. That was totally my fault. Out of the remaining 8, 4 of those nukes have made it and started laying. And so I brought those back here, and I placed those. There's a couple empty spots in the apiary. I just placed those here, and the other 4 are still there, just waiting for signs of laying, having mated queens, and then they'll come back here and find a new spot in the apiary. I want to say that I've developed a deep love affair with pro nukes. I just really like them. I really like them. I like almost everything about them. There's a couple things that I wish were a little better. One of the things is the little door. The 2 things about the little door: when the door is open, it really clicks into place, and it's pretty hard to pull down. And I often actually pull it right out at the bottom and have to clip it back in. And then when it is closed, making sure that little hook is over the body of the pro nuke is, you got to really be careful about that. Otherwise it's going to sit open and the bees can get out. Plus the fact that there's really nothing to snap that in to hold it closed. So that's really my chief complaint about them. Things I love about them: they nest. If we're going to compare Easy Nuke, Jester Easy Nukes, they're great too. I think the Easy Nukes are probably over time more robust, but that's probably about the only thing. The other thing I like about them is they're very uniform. So if you're stacking a lot of them, like I made those 100 nukes here, when the customer picked them up, they stacked in the truck really nicely. Pro nukes wouldn't stack quite that nicely. But if we're going to compare the 2, I really like pro nukes. One of the things that I like most in comparison is they nest. So I can stack up, I've probably got 30 of them stacked up in my building right now, and they take up almost no space. It's just a little pile. So I really like that about them. The other thing I really like about them is they're very bee tight. Once you get that little door closed, and if it does stay closed, then what I do is I'll move nukes from my yard into my building for a couple nights to make them forget where they live, so I can bring them back out. And closing the nuke, bee tight, is important. closing it easily, you know, not stapling screens, all kinds of stuff. Because I'm doing this, you know, dozens and dozens of times, maybe 50 to 100 times a year. So having something easy is really best there. And ventilation, they seem to be fairly well ventilated. I think they're far more ventilated than an Easy Nuke. And Easy Nuke Jester box. I use Jester box a lot. Easy Nuke. Jester is the company. Easy Nuke is the product, but I call them a Jester box. I think a lot of people do. So those are the things I really like about the Pro Nuke. I actually started using one. I went to my out yard and I started using one to just throw my tools in, my hive tool, my marking pen, my queen catcher, my frame gripper and stuff. I just threw it all in the Easy Nuke because I was taking the Easy Nuke anyway. And no, I wasn't taking the Easy Nuke. I was taking the Pro Nuke box anyway, because I'm kind of deciding that I'm going to make this a standard, that when I go to an out yard, I have at least one, maybe two Pro Nukes, and hopefully full of drawn comb with me, because I'm starting to call Pro Nukes problem solvers. You know, if you're working a colony and you see a problem, you need something, Pro Nuke is going to solve your problem almost every time. Even the very small, you know, little thing that you can use, something called a quiet box. Quiet box is just a little nuke box of some kind. It doesn't have to be a nuke box, but it's a box with a bottom, really, is what it is. And so if you're working a colony, you see your queen, and there's no reason for you to mess with the queen, but you know, you could protect her very well just by having that little box off to the side. You can set that frame in that box. Sometimes I use my little 4-frame nuke boxes. They've got a bottom, they've got a lid. Pro Nuke, same thing. You can just set that frame in that quiet box. You don't have to close the lid. You could put the lid on if you want. Jester would work too. One of the frustrations with Jester is the lid. The lid keeps flopping. You always need, you know, with a Pro Nuke, I can take that frame and then the quiet box is over to the side. I can set that frame just like that with one hand. Whereas the Jester box, I've always got to have two hands free, one to keep that lid open, one to put the frame in. It's just a little bit of a pain. And ironically, one of the other complaints I have about a Jester is that the lid doesn't stay closed. It doesn't snap on in any way. Whereas the Pro Nuke, I've had them sitting out here in violent windstorms and no sweat. That lid snaps right on there, and it stays in place. The jury is out on how long the Pro Nukes will last. How long will they put up with management and handling? And how long will they put up with the sun? They're plastic. So how stable are they? I don't know. I don't really intend to have them out a long time. And you can't, because I have had this issue too, they have gross bee space violations. So there's a lot of head space, so they're going to build comb up. There's a lot of side space because they're tapered. They're tapered so that they'll nest. And so that taper gives you a wide bee space violation on each side. So you know what they're going to do there. They love to decorate, and they're going to build some stuff in there. So they're meant for short term, and you know, you can go longer term if you're not on a flow. But if you're on a flow, you really need to watch it and get them dealt with. And Sunday, we did work out here for a while, and I say we because my wife joined me. It was really nice that she joined me. She's starting to take more interest in actually working with the bees, and I'm finding that I can give her a job and just walk away, and I go do something else, and she can just do that job rather than, you know, looking over my shoulder or me looking over her shoulder or whatever. So what she did, really, hopefully I can show you here, these nukes that are along here, they're way along here. These nukes were in my little wooden 4-frame boxes, and a lot of them were in Pro Nukes, because they were nukes that I created, and I made a video earlier about this, that they were queenless nukes that I created here in the apiary, and then I purchased queens for those. So they're I think I got 100% take on that. I'd have to confirm. I think there might be one that's maybe not laying. However, that's a pretty good take. And so that's what we did that day. I ran around and was cleaning up some last minute supering. There was a few colonies that I had neglected and they were plugging out, so I had to super those. And I'll show you some of them that I supered here on this side. So you can't quite see it full on for this one, but the one back here, that has the polystyrene on it, this is actually 3 6-frame nukes on this one pallet. And what I've got here is I've got 2 10-frame deeps here and 2 10-frame deeps here, because I had started by just supering the 6-frame boxes with 6-frame supers and plugged right out. So I pulled those, transferred all that to the deeps over Queen Excluder, and then I added 2 more empty deeps on top, and I'm pretty sure they're going to fill those too. I've actually had these configurations make 6 deeps. Often they'll make 4 deeps, and it really depends on, you know, how strong you make the nuke when you make it, how long have they had to build up, how strong are they, and how good the flow is. My flow is pretty steady. It's almost exactly the same every year, regardless, oddly enough. And it's never super duper awesome. It's a pretty low and slow flow. I don't get a lot of honey, but it's consistent here, and it's beautiful honey. So that's what I stick with. So I did those, and there's actually 2 more of those kind of sitting behind those you can't see. These, yeah, you could, I don't know if you can see that blue one back there. That's the same kind of a thing. So that's pretty much what happened on Sunday. Then on Monday, I had to go to Winnipeg. Well, I wanted to go to Winnipeg. There were some things pressing, and there was something that I don't do a lot because I don't really have time and energy. You know, time and energy, they go together for me. But what I did on Monday was I did a short bee presentation to a group of students. They were kind of early to mid-teens students. They were an inner city school, and it was an interesting experience for me because they were it was an English class, but it was an English class for immigrant students, you know, new Canadians, and so they were just getting immersed in the English language. And so they wrote out questions, and they had to read their questions to me, you know, in English. And of course, English is really the only language I know. Well, I know how to swear in French, but that's about it. But I think everybody does. And so then my big challenge was, well, I'll back up. As you know, probably from my videos, is I tend to over-explain things, and I tend to get a little too technical language sometimes. And so that was my big challenge, is to answer the question in a meaningful way that was an understandable way for them, not get all into hypopharyngeal glands and all this kind of stuff. So that was interesting. Did a couple deliveries, so you know, it wasn't a cost really for me to go. Fuel is so expensive, and it's a good, you know, it's a good drive of 40 or 50 miles to get down to the center of the city. So I have to choose my days. I can't just go willy-nilly anymore. So on Tuesday, I ended up back in Winnipeg again. I had a couple of things I wanted to do, I had to do, and I couldn't fit them together in the same day. So because I had to take a different truck. Didn't want to take my big truck down into the school, but I needed to take my big truck for the other job, and also the timing didn't work out. So I just had to move my camera because it's raining. I knew there was going to be some showers today. It's not going to rain all day. There's going to be some showers. The temperature is not going to be really warm. I think forecast high is like 19 today. So you can see the doorway here. I've got the camera in the building so it doesn't get wet. It's not raining hard, but you never know. Sometimes these things can start up really fast. Yes, so on Tuesday, ended up back in the city. Had the big truck, took 600 pounds of honey to the packer, and which was good. I haven't done that in a while, so I need to do more of that. I don't want inventory to get low. Did a couple more pickups. You know, what can I say? Pretty boring stuff, really. The drive for the big truck was I needed to pick up some long material at the hardware store on the way home. And so I wanted to have the 8-foot bed and not the 6.5 or 6 foot bed, I think, on the little truck, because it was over 12-foot material. So, you know, even an 8-foot bed, it sticks out. And that brings us to today, Wednesday. And I'm really tired. I got a little bit of sleep in, so that's good. And I thought, you know, I got to get out here. I have some problems to fix still, some projects in process, and that is concerning queens. I haven't put queens in those queenless nukes I made last week, so I need to go over to my mated queens over here in the corner and find a queen, you know, make sure she's marked nicely, cage her up in a JZBZ cage, take her over to the nuke, and I'll put the nuke that she's in its entirety into the queenless nuke, and then put her in there with the cage, and she should be accepted okay, hopefully. I mean, nothing's ever 100%, right? So I'm hoping that's what I can do. The sky does not look good right now. It's raining. It looks like I'll be waiting a little while till the rain subsides, and it might be a while by the look of this. Got my smoker going and everything, ready to roll, and then it starts raining. I imagine the bees are going to pound me today too, because they don't like being messed with in inclement weather. And I'm going to get inside. It's Friday, July 29th, 2022. We're almost to the end of July. That never makes me happy. It's always a little sad time to see the advent of August. The days are noticeably shorter. The weather, the hot, beautiful days are fewer, farther between. And the bees start to shut down. There's not as much comb building, there's not as much nectar flow coming in, not as much brood production. So, as far as I'm concerned, another beekeeping season is coming to an end. And once harvest starts, it's just a couple of months of work. Hauling heavy honey boxes, lifting heavy honey pails, extracting. It's nice to see the harvest come in, but it takes a toll on a body and a mind too. It's stressful. So my plan today was to check my OTS endeavors here in the apiary. I had a couple of visitors. I had 3 visitors actually, and 2 took me up on the offer of a beehive tour, a bee yard tour. And I really enjoy those. I really enjoy sharing my love of the bees and my love of this whole thing, this whole process and different aspects of it with other people, especially people who are very unfamiliar with what goes on. They love the little bit of education they get. Having said that, it does use up the day, so I need to be diligent to still get at least some of my work done. And thankfully, people usually understand what it means to take up a bit of my time. You know, and I spend all the time they want. I don't hurry them away. They could be here for an hour or 2. So they usually show their appreciation by purchasing product and to take some of that golden nectar home. I actually sold a lot of honeycomb today. 2 of the customers that came bought a good amount of honeycomb each, so that was really nice. So I'm going to look at some of the OTS results here. Hopefully they're positive results. But also, during the tour, I opened up one of the beehives. I always open it up, pull a frame of honey or nectar, as you know, may be at that time, and then I have my little wooden spoons, and they can scoop up right out of the honeycomb and try it right in the bee yard. And that's always a huge hit. And I love sharing that with people too. And I think it makes a really good connection between the flowers and the bees and the beehive and the honey. Brings people right into that whole process of what it takes to produce that honey that's otherwise just seen in a jar on the shelf. So that was a big hit. But while doing that, I noticed, oh, these top boxes are full. So I'm going to be checking some of those. And I think I'll just start at the front here and work sequentially down through the apiary. As I get to OTS colonies, I'll unload them, check for queen rightness. If I don't find queens, maybe then I either have to mark that or deal with it right away. I really should deal with it right away, because if they don't have a queen, they've not had a queen for a month now. And so without further ado, I'm going to get busy at this. Okay, this is actually one over here that I had sampled for the visitors, and this is a deep of 10 frames of foundation that I just threw on there almost in a panic. We'll check this. This is an OTS. It says OTS 22. This lid is kind of on backwards because I put my queen notation at the front. So it should go on the other way. So that means this is actually laying. And there is a queen excluder. And that's one of the difficulties of the OTS at this point, is there are no queen excluders in anything I haven't confirmed as laying. There's a little bit of nectar in there. They don't even have that all the way out, but it looks like it's, I was going to say it looks like it's 10 drawn frames, but this one really isn't. It's not drawn because there's a little bit of wax on that side, but they haven't touched it on the other side. So I'm just going to replace that one because the wax dried up. I just built some new mediums with black right cell foundation. So I'm just going to stick this right smack in the middle. See, this is getting, it's full of nectar from here to here. So I think they're building up pretty good. I'm not going to bother with the queen. I've marked this as a laying OTS queen. There's a queen excluder, so I won't mess with that. And I'm going to stick another box of that new right cell mediums on this. I've been drawing a lot of foundation this year. I've been lately trying to draw out these mediums, so I sure hope I'm not pushing the season for drawing foundation. I know August gets a little bit, I'm going to say tenuous. I'm not really sure what that means, but I think it means dicey. Okay, I don't need to scrape this off. I did this OTS June 11th, and she's been long since laying. That's it for this one, and that's it for this week. So I hope you all have a good weekend. I'm going to try. I'll be back at this again tomorrow, and I'll try the video, and I'll let you know kind of how it goes, and then, you know, we'll go from there. Take care and have fun. I'm getting rained on.